future hopes and unseen dreams. A completely wild, long-term personal goal I'm secretly working towards. The dream collaboration or project I envision, far beyond my usual content. A significant personal aspiration for the next 5 years that will shock you. The eye of providence on the dollar bill has long ignited whispers of a hidden power, an order said to move unseen, weaving its influence through history. For some, this symbol is proof of the Illuminati's quest for global control. Did they truly intervene in turning points such as the French Revolution or the Great World Wars? Claims suggest they infiltrated economics, politics, science, media, and even culture itself. Yet the question lingers, are they real? And if they are, is our freedom merely a carefully crafted illusion? Up next, we uncover the organization's mysterious origins, forgotten traces, and imagine a world in which it never vanished. The all-seeing eye. In 1776, a year etched into history, Adam Weishaupt, a German philosopher and law professor, founded the Bavarian Illuminati in Ingolstadt. That same year, across the ocean, the United States declared its independence after years of struggle. Just 6 years later, in 1782, the Great Seal of the United States was adopted, bearing the Eye of Providence above an unfinished pyramid. The Illuminati's stated mission was to bring light to humanity by advancing reason, free thought, and resistance to the heavy hand of monarchs and clerics. They envisioned an order that could see all, guiding mankind toward a higher truth. But why does this enigmatic seal sit on the dollar bill? In 1935, under Franklin Delano Roosevelt, it was placed there as a declaration of the nation's ideals. The pyramid stood for endurance, its unfinished state a reminder that the American experiment was not complete. The steps honored the 13 colonies, while the radiant eye symbolized divine guardianship. Annuit coeptis was a prayer. He has favored our undertakings. And Novus Ordo Seclorum proclaimed a new age, an order breaking free from Europe's old chains. Still, conspiracy theorists claim the seal is no coincidence. For them, the eye is not divine but watchful, an eternal emblem of surveillance and control. And yet, history offers no proof that Weishaupt's Illuminati ever used this symbol. The eye itself transcends any one group. In Christian iconography, it radiates within a triangle, representing God's omniscience. In 1789, during the French Revolution, it appeared in the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen. Its likeness echoes the Egyptian Eye of Horus, an ancient sign of protection and power. For Freemasons, it embodies the great architect of the universe, ever vigilant over humanity. The Illuminati's rapid growth unsettled the powers of their day. Their radical pursuit of change was branded dangerous. By 1785, they were outlawed and forced into the shadows. Officially, their story ended there. Yet whispers endured. Throughout the 19th century, books claimed they had survived, manipulating revolutions, reshaping nations, and guiding history from behind the veil. These tales seeped into modern thought, fueling the conviction that the Illuminati never truly disappeared, but instead watch and wait. In modern times, a belief persists that a small circle of powerful figures is guiding humanity toward a hidden goal, a centralized world government, one with absolute dominion over politics, economics, and resources. Advocates of this vision argue that such unity would end war, stabilize nations, and secure peace. Yet its critics warn that it would strip away personal freedom and sovereignty, replacing liberty with an unbreakable web of control. The phrase New World Order carries a complicated past. After World War I, Woodrow Wilson outlined his 14 points in 1918, proposing an international framework to preserve peace. An idea that birthed the League of Nations, precursor to today's United Nations. His plan envisioned cooperation, not a single global throne. Years later, in 1946, Winston Churchill delivered his famed Zurich speech, urging the creation of a United States of Europe as a step toward enduring harmony. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, though never invoking the phrase directly, advanced a similar ideal through the Atlantic Charter of 1941, drafted with Churchill, which promoted free trade, disarmament, and respect for sovereignty. Over time, however, the concept darkened. Some claim that the Illuminati never disbanded but instead evolved, embedding themselves within the very institutions meant to safeguard peace: the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank. From this perspective, these organizations are not guardians, but instruments of quiet domination. Through debt, financial dependency, and international policy, nations are bound tighter, their autonomy slowly eroded. Technology, too, becomes part of this hidden architecture. Vast troves of personal data, harvested through the digital world, offer unprecedented power, allowing elites to predict, shape, and even dictate human behavior. Artificial intelligence, under this view, is less a tool of progress than a sentinel of control, scanning patterns and guiding outcomes without the knowledge of those it governs. Yet, despite centuries of speculation, no definitive evidence proves the Illuminati's survival or their hand in forging a new world order. But what if reality is more complex than the surface reveals, and unseen powers are already turning the wheels of destiny? False flag operations. History is filled with events that some believe were not what they seemed. False flag operations. Plots designed to appear as the work of an enemy while secretly orchestrated by those who stand to benefit, have left a dark imprint on collective memory. The term itself comes from piracy, when ships would raise false flags to deceive their prey. In modern times, it has come to describe acts of propaganda, sabotage, or even violence staged to manipulate entire populations. Imagine a kingdom called Solaris, eager to invade its neighbor Umbra. Knowing its citizens would not support war, Solaris leaders stage an attack on their own land. Outraged, the people clamor for vengeance, and war becomes not imposed but demanded. History offers chilling parallels. On February 27, 1933, the Reichstag building in Berlin went up in flames. A Dutch communist, Marinus van der Lubbe, was arrested, accused of sparking the fire. The Nazi regime swiftly used the crisis to suspend civil liberties, paving the way for Hitler's dictatorship. For decades, suspicion has lingered. Was the blaze orchestrated by the very regime that exploited it? On August 31, 1939, German operatives staged the Gleiwitz incident, dressing as Polish soldiers and seizing a radio station to broadcast false calls to rebellion. The next day, Hitler declared Poland had attacked Germany, using the fabrication as justification for the invasion that unleashed World War II. And on November 26, 1939, in the village of Mainila, artillery shells exploded near the Soviet-Finnish border. The Soviets claimed Finland had fired first, using the pretext to launch the Winter War. History remains divided: accident or carefully staged provocation. If such deceptions succeeded in shaping the course of nations, what else might have been hidden in plain sight? Stalin denounced the incident as an intolerable act of aggression. Yet Finland firmly denied responsibility, pointing out that its forces were far from the site and could not have fired. In truth, the artillery came from the Soviets themselves, an orchestrated deception meant to justify the next step. Just 4 days later, the Red Army crossed the border, beginning the Winter War. Decades on, declassified Soviet documents confirmed what many had long suspected. The bombardment was a false flag, designed to cloak Stalin's hunger for expansion. In 1898, the USS Maine, a modern American battleship, anchored in Havana Harbor, a silent warning amid the unrest between Spain and Cuba's independence movement. Officially, it was there to protect U.S. citizens, but its looming presence also carried a message: America was watching. On the night of February 15th, an enormous blast ripped through the vessel, tearing it apart and killing more than 260 sailors. The cause was never definitively proven. Headlines thundered, "To hell with Spain! Remember the Maine!" Outrage spread like fire, and within months, the United States declared war, emerging from the conflict not just victorious, but as a rising global power. Centuries earlier, Rome itself burned. Between July 18th and 23rd in the year 64, fire consumed much of the imperial capital, destroying between 10 and 14 districts and displacing thousands. Rumors swirled that Emperor Nero had orchestrated the inferno to clear land for his grand vision of the city. Ancient historian Suetonius described how Nero sought to rebuild with broad avenues and monumental architecture, culminating in his lavish palace, the Domus Aurea. At the same time, Christianity was beginning to grow, unsettling Rome's old order. Seizing the moment, Nero blamed the Christians, unleashing brutal persecutions that scarred early church history. But could such disasters have been mere accidents, or the work of hidden hands? Could secret networks have used these crises as tools, known only to a select few? Monarchies, aristocracy, and powerful families. Since antiquity, monarchs and dynastic families embodied power. Wealth, land, and armies secured their dominance, while strategic marriages bound royal houses together, weaving webs of influence that stretched across continents. Some whisper that behind the grandeur of crowns and scepters stood unseen advisors, perhaps even organizations like the Illuminati, ensuring the continuation of their rule. The aristocracy, those noble families who served as the backbone of monarchic systems, did not always wield absolute power, but they controlled vast estates, influenced economies, and steered national politics. Many of these elites joined secret societies such as the Freemasons, seeking networks that protected their privileges amid shifting tides of history. According to certain accounts, the Illuminati themselves infiltrated these circles, using noble bloodlines as vessels for their hidden influence. Are today's elites still guided by such unseen hands? Do the wealthiest families belong to organizations intent on shaping the world in their image? One family often drawn into this mystery is the Rothschilds. In the late 18th century, Mayer Amschel Rothschild, a Jewish banker from Frankfurt, built a financial empire with sharp foresight. He sent each of his 5 sons to establish branches in London, Paris, Vienna, and Naples, creating an unprecedented banking network. During the Napoleonic Wars, their financial reach made them indispensable, funding both armies and governments while moving vast sums across borders with unmatched speed. Their ability to secure trust made them the most powerful bankers in Europe, and for some, the prime suspects in a much larger web of hidden power. Over time, the Rothschild family expanded their influence beyond banking, investing in railroads, mining, and real estate. Their ties with royal houses, state leaders, and powerful businesses placed them at the heart of monumental projects like the Suez Canal. Their command of capital flow granted them global reach throughout the 19th century. Today, the Rothschilds remain influential, yet maintain a discreet profile. Through Rothschild & Co., they operate in investment banking, wealth management, and financial advising for the elite. They also extend their reach into wine, energy, and philanthropy, preserving their legacy as one of the world's most enduring dynasties. In the mid-19th century, Junius Spencer Morgan, patriarch of the Morgan family, laid the foundation of the empire by venturing into European banking. Though American, he established himself in London, securing his family's place in international finance. This legacy was expanded by his son, John Pierpont Morgan, better known as J.P. Morgan. Educated across Europe, J.P. Morgan returned to the United States, where he built a financial empire through mergers, restructuring corporations, and funding vast industrial projects. He was pivotal in the rise of U.S. Steel and General Electric, becoming the most powerful banker of his age. His methods, consolidation, domination, and the elimination of rivals, made him both feared and respected. Born in 1839, John D. Rockefeller showed business acumen from an early age. During the oil boom, he saw opportunity in a resource destined to reshape the world. In 1870, he founded Standard Oil, revolutionizing the industry by refining, transporting, and distributing oil with unmatched efficiency. The Rockefeller fortune grew through strategic and at times controversial tactics, such as exclusive railroad deals and the absorption of rivals. At its height, Standard Oil controlled 90% of the U.S. oil market. Though the Supreme Court dissolved the monopoly in 1911, its offspring companies, ExxonMobil and Chevron, remained highly profitable. The Rockefellers reinvested their fortune into banks, real estate, universities, and cultural institutions. The Rockefeller Foundation supported advancements in medicine, agriculture, and global development, expanding the family's reach into critical fields. While their direct grip on oil has diminished, their influence continues in finance, philanthropy, and global policy. But are these families truly as powerful as many suspect? How deep does their reach extend? The Rothschilds have long been rumored to wield immense control over national and international banking systems. They've been linked to the founding of institutions like the Bank of England, the Bank of France, and later, the U.S. Federal Reserve. The Morgans have been tied to Yale's Skull and Bones Society, with some claiming it forms part of a larger Illuminati-connected power network. Speculation persists that J.P. Morgan was instrumental in shaping the Federal Reserve in 1913. Meanwhile, the Rockefellers are associated with groups like the Trilateral Commission and the Council on Foreign Relations. While officially intended to promote cooperation, some believe these are veiled instruments of global control. Their close ties to presidents, lawmakers, and top officials have fueled suspicions of hidden influence over policies concerning energy, finance, and foreign affairs. Mind control, tools of manipulation and power. Since ancient times, rulers have used psychological persuasion to command loyalty and obedience. Mind control targets the subconscious through methods such as brainwashing, breaking down existing beliefs to implant new ones. Fear is perhaps the most effective tool, steering human choices with subtle precision. Subliminal messages in media work invisibly, seeding thoughts without awareness. In 1950, the CIA launched Project Bluebird to explore ways of altering human behavior. Hypnosis, drugs, and sensory deprivation were tested. This evolved into Project Artichoke in 1951, which probed deeper into the use of LSD, hypnosis, and other extreme tactics. Officially launched in 1953, MKUltra pushed these experiments further, using psychedelics, isolation, psychological abuse, and electroshock. Many victims were subjected to LSD without consent, suffering permanent scars. During the Cold War, the United States turned not only to chemicals but to the paranormal. Under Project Stargate, researchers examined remote viewing, the supposed ability to perceive distant places without physical presence. Volunteers and psychics alike attempted to describe hidden objects and secret sites. Similar programs emerged in the Soviet Union, China, and Japan. To some, these programs weren't just about defense. They were part of a wider plan to manipulate humanity itself. While global mind control remains elusive, modern tools like social media, algorithms, and surveillance already influence choices, behaviors, and beliefs. Is this coincidence or the evolution of a deeper design? Major revolutions, spontaneous or engineered. Some theories point to the coincidence that the American Revolution was declared in 1776, the very year the Illuminati were founded. Though figures like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson were Freemasons, no records tie them directly to the Illuminati. Washington himself even expressed concern about the group's possible influence. The French Revolution of 1789, which toppled centuries of monarchy, also fueled speculation. Writers like Augustine Barruel and John Robison argued that the upheaval was engineered by secret networks, Masonic lodges infiltrated by Weishaupt's Illuminati. Robison went further, suggesting their mission was not only political change, but also the eradication of religion itself. Later upheavals, from the Bolshevik Revolution of 1917 to Mexico's Revolution of 1910, have also been linked in theory to secret societies. Even the Arab Spring of 2010 to 2012, driven by economic inequality and the demand for freedoms, was interpreted by some as being subtly steered by Western powers to reshape the Middle East to their advantage. But what if the Illuminati still exist? Official history tells us they were disbanded in the late 18th century. Yet, What if they endured, evolving silently, weaving themselves into the fabric of modern revolutions? Perhaps the unseen architects of history are still among us, shaping destinies from the shadows. If the Illuminati had managed to remain active since then, how might they have done it? And what strategies would they employ to avoid detection? To survive, they would need to adapt to shifting historical and cultural landscapes, adopting new organizational frameworks and modes of communication. Perhaps overt rituals and rigid hierarchies were abandoned in favor of a subtle, decentralized structure. Instead of convening in large groups or prominent venues, they may have created informal networks of influential individuals, united by a shared vision, each operating independently. Their communications could rely on codes, encryption, and advanced technology, staying always a step ahead of the world around them. A key pillar of their survival would be blending into established power structures, governments, corporations, and international institutions. Rather than acting as an outside force, today's Illuminati would likely manipulate from within, operating without arousing suspicion. They might pose as technocrats, philanthropists, or thought leaders, discreetly guiding actions toward long-term objectives. Controlling information would be crucial to remaining hidden. Technology and media could be used to spread misinformation and shield the truth. In a world awash with conspiracy theories, an effective strategy would be to overwhelm the public with conflicting narratives, hiding reality in a sea of confusion. This tactic, known as information flooding, manipulates perception by inundating people with contradictory content. Social networks become saturated with facts, falsehoods, and speculation, making it difficult to discern reality. The truth becomes obscured, buried beneath layers of absurd and fabricated versions. A closely related concept is collective gaslighting, where a powerful entity manipulates perception so thoroughly that people begin to doubt even the most obvious truths. During the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union used disinformation campaigns to influence public opinion and discredit opponents. A notable example is Operation Infection, in which the KGB spread the false claim that the AIDS virus had been engineered by the US as a biological weapon. The message was entangled in conflicting narratives, obscuring its origin and fostering distrust toward the US government. In 2013, Edward Snowden revealed that massive amounts of personal data were being collected worldwide. Yet the official response focused more on narrative control than on the substance of the leaks. Governments denied the claims and branded Snowden a traitor, shifting attention from the issues of mass surveillance and privacy to his escape and asylum. Opposing narratives emerged. Some hailed him as a human rights hero, others suspected him of working for Russia or China. The idea that the Illuminati, or another secret organization, could employ similar strategies is speculative, yet history shows these techniques have precedent. What might be happening today that we'll only discover decades from now, or perhaps never? Shocking theories about the Illuminati. Some theories about the Illuminati are highly speculative and lack concrete evidence, yet they continue to capture attention. Could they be true, a disinformation ploy, or merely viral content? One of the most striking claims is that the Illuminati possess the ability to manipulate time. According to certain theories, they have uncovered ancient technologies or hidden knowledge that allows them to traverse eras, altering events to secure their dominance. This idea is often linked to the alleged connection between the Illuminati and esoteric wisdom inherited from ancient civilizations like the Egyptians and Sumerians, who were believed to possess a profound understanding of time and space. Another theory suggests that the Illuminati have mastered spiritual or metaphysical techniques, such as transcendental meditation or secret rituals, enabling them to influence past or future events without relying on technology. On another front, some claim the Illuminati have developed or gained access to climate manipulation technology. According to this theory, they could allegedly control hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires, and droughts, weaponizing natural disasters to tighten their grip and influence human behavior. One of the most controversial claims posits that the Illuminati have made contact with extraterrestrial civilizations, gaining access to technologies and knowledge far beyond human capabilities. In exchange for providing breakthroughs in energy, biotechnology, and defense, these extraterrestrials supposedly received permission to extract Earth's resources or conduct experiments. Supporters point to the emergence of technologies such as microchips, lasers, and ultra-durable composites as evidence of collaboration with advanced civilizations. Hearings have even taken place in the U.S. Congress, where UFOs were claimed to be extraterrestrial in origin and that alien bodies had been recovered. Several former officials assert the government possesses wreckage from non-human craft and biological remains, though proof has yet to be presented. The Pentagon denies such claims, attributing sightings to earthly causes like drones and rejecting the existence of secret alien programs. Could the Illuminati, unknown groups, or government institutions be behind these phenomena? Is this mere disinformation, or a mix of fact and fiction? It's difficult to know, but some truths may be more unsettling than anything discussed so far. The military-industrial complex. It has been suggested that a hidden force operates behind visible power, using the military-industrial complex as a tool for global control. With its overwhelming influence over politics and the economy, the complex exhibits traits often associated with secretive organizations: concentrated power, exclusive access to information and resources, and decision-making away from public scrutiny. Dwight D. Eisenhower famously warned of the military-industrial complex in his 1961 farewell address, highlighting the dangers of too close ties between the defense industry and government. Profits and lucrative contracts sustain continuous militarization, potentially threatening global stability. Advanced technologies, drones and AI, reshape security priorities while opening markets for defense corporations. Yet ethical concerns arise. Is it right to invest heavily in weapons while basic human needs go unmet? Illuminati and global finance. Financial crises, when examined historically and economically, reveal complex origins. Poor monetary policy, regulatory lapses, irrational market behavior, and macroeconomic imbalances. Could secret organizations be exploiting these crises to consolidate power and redirect wealth? The Great Depression, beginning with the 1929 stock market crash, was fueled by speculation and inflated financial bubbles. Out of this emerged global institutions like the IMF and World Bank, which some theorists claim serve as tools for economic elites to maintain control. The 1973 oil shock dramatically reshaped global economics and politics, driven by OPEC's production cuts and price hikes in response to Western support for Israel. The 1987 Black Monday market crash has led some to speculate that major financial institutions exploited early trading algorithms to manipulate the market. The collapse of the Bretton Woods system in 1971, when the U.S. abandoned the gold standard, is similarly seen by some as part of an elite financial plot. This move allegedly aimed to weaken national currencies and establish the US dollar as the dominant global reserve currency. Some argue it enabled international banking groups to expand a debt-based financial system. At the same time, it was a response to real economic challenges, including trade deficits and the inability to back the dollar with sufficient gold reserves. Another major crisis was the 2008 financial meltdown. Investment giants like Lehman Brothers and Goldman Sachs were accused of manipulating the high-risk mortgage market deliberately. Some theorists claim the goal was to maximize short-term profits, knowing the system teetered on collapse. Others argue the crisis was orchestrated to justify massive bailouts, ultimately solidifying the control of financial elites. Was the 2008 collapse the result of reckless behavior, deregulation, and speculative bubbles? Or was it a calculated plan by a powerful few? The possibilities are unsettling. Charles Ferguson's documentary Inside Job explores the origins, impact, and accountability surrounding the global crash. It highlights politicians, regulators, and academics with deep Wall Street ties, exposing conflicts of interest and systemic corruption. Top executives from responsible institutions escaped accountability, walking away with massive bonuses funded by taxpayer bailouts. Inside Job implies the crisis was not mere chance, but a carefully orchestrated scheme by financial and political elites to preserve a corrupt system, benefiting a few at the expense of many. Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. A hidden message? Kubrick's 1999 film, exploring desire, insecurity, and jealousy, is frequently linked to the Illuminati due to its depiction of a secret society behind closed doors. While the film never names any organization, its imagery and themes fueled speculation about indirect connections. One of the most discussed scenes involves a mansion where wealthy, powerful individuals participate in a mysterious ritual, featuring Venetian masks, haunting chants, and secret codes. The unsettling atmosphere and symbolism suggest Kubrick may have been critiquing hidden societies. Kubrick himself is surrounded by mystique. Known for layered meanings, some believe he used this film to reveal what he allegedly knew about global elites. The Black Monolith in 2001, A Space Odyssey, appears at pivotal moments in human history and is interpreted as a symbol of external forces guiding evolution, representing powers that shape civilization from the shadows. Initiation rites of the Illuminati. The Bavarian Illuminati were structured into levels, similar to Freemasonry. Each degree represented a distinct stage of knowledge and commitment, with specific rituals. Candidates were chosen from influential individuals, intellectuals, and progressive thinkers. Professors, writers, lawyers, and cultural elites were discreetly observed to assess their compatibility. Those deemed worthy were invited to a solemn initiation ceremony. Preparation involved isolation and the study of carefully selected texts, from philosophy to science, to open the mind. Candidates swore absolute secrecy regarding their involvement. Ceremonies were held in remote, dimly lit locations with symbolic objects, candles, skulls, scrolls, and seals, representing knowledge, mortality, and responsibility. Blindfolded candidates were guided before senior members, questioned on their motives and values, and took an oath pledging loyalty to the Illuminati, commitment to reason and freedom, and secrecy regarding all rituals and activities. Once the oath was completed, the blindfold was removed, a symbolic gesture marking the transition from the darkness of ignorance to the light of understanding. From that moment, the individual was considered a full member of the Illuminati and granted access to the order's teachings and inner knowledge. Following initiation, the new member embarked on a path of learning and active participation within the order. The Illuminati encouraged intellectual debate, exchange of ideas, and personal growth as essential tools for enlightenment. Initiates were expected to prove their dedication by recruiting new members, writing essays on philosophical topics, or contributing to projects aligned with the organization's objectives. These ceremonies were carried out by the Bavarian Illuminati in the 18th century. The notion that similar rituals might still occur today is intriguing, though no evidence supports it. If such practices exist within other groups, they would likely be conducted in extreme secrecy and with notable differences. The Illuminati and religion. The Bavarian Illuminati maintained a critical stance toward organized religion, especially the Catholic Church, which held significant influence across 18th century Europe. Their view was shaped by Enlightenment and rationalist philosophy, promoting free thought and the questioning of traditional power structures, including religious authority. Founder Adam Weishaupt did not aim to abolish religion entirely. Rather, he sought its reform. He believed faith had been twisted by religious institutions into a tool for controlling the masses and preserving authority. Dogmatic doctrines and rigid church rituals suppressed reason and hindered intellectual progress. The Illuminati advocated for a society where religion was separate from the state and where education and reason formed the foundation of human advancement. Some members believed personal spirituality could coexist with rationalism, provided it was not dictated by authoritarian institutions. Their mission was to free humanity from religious elites' grip through critical and independent thinking. Viewed as a serious threat by the Catholic Church and other conservative religious institutions, the Illuminati were eventually persecuted and officially disbanded. Today, some theorists suggest a secret elite, or the Illuminati themselves, might be crafting a global religion as a new method of mass control. Despite globalization, cultural and religious differences still spark conflicts, wars, intolerance, and ideological or spiritual tensions. A universal religion could unify humanity under shared beliefs and values, potentially fostering global peace. Practically, such a religion could streamline governance by bringing populations under common ethical and moral principles, simplifying decision-making on a planetary scale. What might this universal religion look like? If the Illuminati, or another secret organization, were behind its creation, it would likely blend elements from major religions and philosophies. Christianity's love and compassion, Buddhism's harmony, Islam's justice, and Hinduism's spirituality could be woven together into a belief system resonating across cultures. A modern universal religion would likely discard rigid dogmas and rituals, focusing instead on abstract principles such as spiritual connection, environmental respect, and collective growth. Through social media, artificial intelligence, and virtual reality, its teachings could be disseminated worldwide, adapted to each individual's emotional and cultural inclinations via algorithms. Some theorists suggest that efforts toward a universal faith are already quietly underway. Movements like ecumenism, seeking unity among Christian denominations, and global interfaith dialogues highlighting commonalities between religions, may represent the initial steps toward a broader, hidden objective. Others point to modern trends like New Age spirituality, blending elements from diverse religious traditions with scientific and philosophical ideas. Historian Yuval Noah Harari, author of works such as *Sapiens* and *Homo Deus*, argues that the dominant ideology of the modern era is human-centered, a kind of secular religion placing humans and their experiences at the center of the universe. Instead of relying on supernatural deities, humanism prioritizes individual rights, personal freedom, and the pursuit of happiness. In *Homo Deus*, Harari proposes that technology is giving rise to a new ideology called dataism, in which data and information are considered the ultimate source of power and authority. In this worldview, algorithms act as modern priests, guiding everything from social media to financial markets, medical diagnostics, and urban planning. The Bilderberg Group, a link to the Illuminati? Some observers claim this exclusive club is a modern extension of the Illuminati, or that both belong to a global elite seeking a new world order. According to these theories, Bilderberg meetings serve as a hidden platform where decisions with worldwide consequences are made, away from public oversight. The Bilderberg Group is an annual conference attended by influential figures in politics, economics, academia, and media. Participants include royalty, heads of state, corporate leaders, and executives from financial institutions. Founded in 1954 at the Hotel de Bilderberg in the Netherlands, the group aims to foster dialogue and understanding between Europe and North America. The meetings are highly secretive, with participants handpicked by a steering committee. Under the Chatham House rule, attendees can use the information shared, but may not reveal the identity of contributors. Officially, this ensures open discussion. Critics, however, argue that the lack of transparency fuels speculation about hidden agendas, suggesting the group could quietly shape global policy beyond democratic oversight. The Trilateral Commission. Founded in 1973 by David Rockefeller, the Trilateral Commission was created as a platform for dialogue among leaders from North America, Europe, and the Asia-Pacific region. It has been the subject of claims that global policies, economic relationships, and security decisions are orchestrated behind the scenes. The Commission continues to feed speculation about unseen networks of power, weaving a mysterious web that, some say, quietly directs the course of the world. The stated purpose of the Trilateral Commission is to promote cooperation among these regions to address global economic and political challenges. Yet critics argue that it reflects the hidden sway of global elites. Founded at the height of the Cold War, the Commission sought to foster collaboration among developed economies to tackle shared concerns like financial stability, globalization, and energy crises. Unlike international organizations such as the United Nations, the Trilateral Commission holds no formal mandate or executive authority. It functions as a space for reflection, where members exchange ideas and pursue consensus on major global issues. Its meetings are closed to the public, and discussions are undisclosed, fueling a perception of secrecy and exclusivity. Supporters contend that by uniting brilliant minds from powerful regions, The Commission generates innovative strategies with global impact. Critics, however, suspect that beneath this narrative of cooperation lies an agenda favoring elites over the general populace. Members include corporate executives, bankers, and politicians wielding substantial influence. One oft-cited document, the 1975 report The Crisis of Democracy, examined governance challenges in Western democracies, and skeptics interpret its findings as justifying the concentration of power in elite hands. While the Commission issues no formal decisions, its indirect influence is considerable, as many members later hold key roles in governments, major corporations, and international institutions. Figures such as former U.S. President Jimmy Carter and former National Security Advisor Zbigniew Brzezinski were active participants. Michel Foucault and disciplinary power. Theories regarding the Illuminati or other hidden power structures often involve mind control. If such influence exists, however, it is likely far subtler than imagined. Michel Foucault, one of the most influential thinkers of the 20th century, introduced the concept of disciplinary power. In his view, control in modern societies is exerted not through brute force, but via institutions like schools, churches, prisons, and economic systems. These structures shape behavior, thought, and self-perception, often without conscious awareness. Disciplinary power does not require physical coercion. It molds minds and bodies, conditioning individuals to obey social norms voluntarily. If the Illuminati were behind such a system, their greatest success would lie in invisibility, ensuring that systems they built function in their favor without overt enforcement. Modern manifestations might include an economy favoring corporations, education systems designed for workforce efficiency, and societal norms reinforcing compliance. Nassim Nicholas Taleb, The Impossibility of Controlling the World. Even if a new world order seeks total control, is it truly achievable? Nassim Nicholas Taleb, in The Black Swan and Anti-Fragile, argues that randomness, uncertainty, and rare, unpredictable events, black swans, play decisive roles in shaping the world. These events are rare, unforeseeable, and often unnoticed until they occur. Taleb emphasizes that economic, political, and social systems are inherently complex, making total control impossible. Any secret organization aiming to dominate the world would have to contend with countless variables: natural disasters, technological breakthroughs, social movements, and unpredictable human behavior. In such a chaotic environment, even the most meticulous plans could unravel. A central concept in Nassim Nicholas Taleb's work is anti-fragility, the idea that some systems not only survive chaos and uncertainty, but grow stronger because of them. Yet the centralized, controlling nature often attributed to secret organizations like the Illuminati stands in stark contrast to anti-fragility. A rigid system reliant on hidden hierarchies and overplanning would be vulnerable to collapse when faced with what Taleb calls a black swan. The inherent unpredictability of human behavior and natural forces renders any attempt at long-term total control ineffective. The diversity of opinions, cultures, and values across the globe makes societies naturally difficult to govern. Strategies aiming to enforce global uniformity would likely provoke resistance, disorder, or collapse. One of Taleb's core principles is that much of what we perceive as control is, in fact, an illusion. Even the most stable-seeming systems are subject to sudden, unforeseen disruption. A secret group attempting to dominate the world would fall into a dangerous trap by placing excessive faith in this illusion, underestimating both environmental unpredictability and their own limits. Guy Debord and the Society of the Spectacle. Education and economics can serve as tools of disciplinary power, but there are subtler ways to shape thought and behavior. In 1967, philosopher and filmmaker Guy Debord published The Society of the Spectacle, arguing that modern societies are dominated by images, representations, and narratives that shape our perception of reality. In this framework, the spectacle functions as a central mechanism for organizing life. Media, social networks, advertising, and cinema do more than inform or entertain. They define what matters, what we should desire, and how we ought to behave. The spectacle does not reflect reality. It constructs an artificial version of it. Success is often portrayed through consumption: a new car, exotic vacations, trendy clothes. In this way, the spectacle entertains while simultaneously shaping goals and priorities, keeping us focused on appearances while the deeper forces that shape our lives remain hidden. In this sense, the Illuminati or other elites would not need to rule directly or impose control through force. It would be enough to dominate the narratives we consume and the values we internalize. Film, television, music, and social media could reinforce the existing system, promote consumerism, or distract attention from pressing issues such as inequality and power structures. Entertainment may prioritize individual competition over collaboration, keeping people locked in a cycle of striving rather than questioning the system. News cycles might be filled with trivial controversies designed to divert attention from reality. Combined with Taleb's anti-fragility and Debord's spectacle, this illustrates how control in modern society can operate subtly, invisibly, and profoundly. The truth is, there is no concrete evidence that the Illuminati remain active. They were likely disbanded in the 18th century. Yet the possibility exists that other groups work behind the curtain, influencing global events for their own benefit while keeping their actions hidden. The real question isn't whether the Illuminati exist, it's who truly holds power. Is it even possible to control the world? Are there people trying to do exactly that? And if someone does control the system, could their greatest triumph be convincing us that we are free? Are we truly chasing our own dreams, or simply walking a path laid out for us by someone else? What would we do if we discovered that our choices were never truly ours to begin with?